Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon to everybody not in the San Francisco time zone. My name is Doug Wallace. I'm the director of the U.S. Commercial Service Office in San Francisco, and it's a great pleasure to moderate this pre-departure briefing webinar for the GlobalSF Food Tech delegation going off to the Nordics. We have a terrific panel today to answer a lot of your questions as Bay Area food companies exploring the Nordics markets. Just running down the list, we have Chris Reichert, who's our FAS Ag counselor at The Hague, who covers the Nordics. We have Lisa Håkansson, who's the Outreach and Communications Coordinator for USADA, which is the Western United States Agricultural Trade Association. We have Dan Giovina, who's trade specialist at the Commercial Service office here in San Francisco. And then we also have Sandra Donzella, who's the managing director for the EXIM Bank Western region. Before we dive into the discussion, I thought, Laura, I'll just kick it over to you to maybe share some welcoming remarks to the group.
Thank you so much, Doug. So I'm Laura Jenkins. I'm the Director of Partnerships for GlobalSF, and I want to share a huge thanks for the work that the U.S. Commercial Service in San Francisco has done to put this together today. Just for background, GlobalSF is the City of San Francisco's International Economic Development Agency, and a lot of our focus is on the bio, food, and ag innovation space, working with companies expanding to and from California. And we really kicked this off today because we're hosting a Nordic food innovation tour going to Stockholm and Copenhagen this June 1 through 9. This will bring about 20 innovative biofood tech companies, investors, and also chefs from California to learn, partner, and collaborate with Nordic-based companies and food system innovators. So this is an amazing opportunity, I think, because of this upcoming tour, but also to provide this overview to companies we're working with and share this information today as an evergreen resource on our website. So we really just appreciate all of the speakers taking time today. So I'll pass it over to Sandra Donzella from EXIM Bank. Thank you.
Laura, to you and everyone involved in organizing this event. I'm delighted to be here and appreciate the invitation to include me in the program. So as Laura mentioned, my name is Sandra Donzella. I am a member of the Western Regional Office of the Export-Import Bank of the United States, or EXIM, as we like to call ourselves. I'm based in California, and I'm responsible for EXIM's coverage of all of Northern California. So if any of you would like to learn more about our resources after today, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. If you're not familiar with EXIM Bank or EXIM, we are a federal agency. We are America's official export credit agency. There's over 100 export credit agencies worldwide helping their own exporters. And here in the United States, it's the Export-Import Bank of the US. And our mission is to support US exports of US-made goods and services. So US exports is really what we're about. We don't really provide resources for imports into the US. It's strictly support for export sales between US exporters and international customers looking to purchase US-made products. And what do? So even though we're not a bank, we operate a little bit like a financial institution because we offer financial solutions. You see, we recognize that the risk of non-payment or lack of financing can be impediments to export growth. So for that reason, we've developed these financial programs in the form of loan guarantees and export credit insurance. When it comes to loan guarantees, that's a program where you can think of EXIM somewhat similar to our partners at the Small Business Administration, which guarantee loans. We do the same, but the loans that we're guaranteeing are to support export activity. So if you needed financing to fulfill international orders, we have a solution through our working capital loan guarantee. Having said that, our most demanded program by small businesses is the insurance. And under that category, we offer a different number of solutions. And what that represents is peace of mind when you export. It's risk protection in the event of non-payment by your international customers. And this is very relevant now, very much, there's a high demand for it because given the issues, the impact of COVID and the global uncertainty and supply chain issues where shipments are taking a lot longer as well, buyers are increasingly asking for some level of flexibility on their repayment terms. And that's where XM's insurance program can be a valuable solution to you. Again, it's risk protection in the event of non-payment by the international buyer. So if you have a buyer that wants to pay you in 30 or 60 days after shipment, you can proceed, meet the needs of your customers, offer the competitive repayment terms, which will attract more buyers to you and help take that potential sale to an actual sale while making sure that you are paid. So overall, we offer risk mitigation programs designed to help exporters compete with minimal risk and either address your credit needs if you were to need financing, or the credit needs of your customers when they want terms to be able to buy more from you. Thank you.
Terrific. Thanks, Sandra. What we're going to do is just proceed with a couple of very brief self-introductions from Dan and then Lisa. And then we're going to turn to Chris following those for a bit more deeper dive into what FAST, the Foreign Agriculture Service, does, because they play a central role in this program. So let me turn it over to Dan. Dan, the next 3 minutes are yours.
Thank you, Doug, for the introduction. The U.S. Commercial Service is a federal trade promotion agency of the Department of Commerce. So our mission is simply to help grow U.S. exports, protect U.S. interests abroad, and also to facilitate foreign direct investment into the U.S. in order to increase U.S. jobs and promote economic growth. Our agency is located across 100 cities here in the U.S. and in over 80 countries in U.S. embassies and consulates abroad. So with our global network, we can provide our clients with on-the-ground knowledge and connections to help facilitate their international sales and business partnerships. Our teams worldwide provide export counseling to U.S. manufacturers or service exporters seeking to expand abroad. We provide advice and guidance on market entry and sales strategies in your target markets. We do counseling on export documentation and compliance and much more. We can also direct you to market intelligence information. For example, I think Doug may have posted on the chat, and if not, our trade.gov website. So our trade.gov website is a one-stop shop of export information, where you'll find information on international market opportunities, what other agencies do to help exporters, trade show information, trade missions, also export data, where you can actually identify where your products are being shipped to, so you can maybe identify where the best prospects might be for your company. And along with our country commercial guide, which every year is updated collaboratively by the State Department, the U.S. Commercial Service, the Foreign Agricultural Service, and other government agencies overseas. So this guide is really excellent, especially on your travels to the Nordics. If you want to read about how do I do business in Denmark and Norway, the guide provides information on the economies, top market, best prospects, sales channels, customs, and a lot more information. So a valuable resource. I also want to note, throughout the year here in Commerce across the US, we've been holding a large number of educational webinars. And these webinars are very important because it really touches every single sector, every industry. And it's important because it can help you better understand your market entry strategies in certain markets. So for example, just a couple. One that may apply to you would be the UK Women in International Trade Emerging Frontiers in the UK. So we are partnering with the Women in International Trade, OWIT, and our commercial office in the UK, featuring women leaders addressing trade issues in the UK on their perspective. We also have a Stop Fakes webinar. So any company who wants to export, you need to protect your intellectual property, and you can learn about how to register your IP. You can help protect yourself against IP right theft and also infringement. And one last one would be the e-commerce chats. We do a lot of e-commerce chats worldwide. The next one's going to be with Canada and Mexico, where we educate US exporters on e-commerce activities and trends in Canada and Mexico, and then introduce you to local e-commerce platforms. So those are very, very valuable webinars that can help your company better understand the global markets. And just to wrap it up, Doug, here in Northern California, we have 5 offices serving the local export community. We're based in San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland, North Bay, and Sacramento. All of our trade specialists in these offices can update you on upcoming international trade webinars and export opportunities. And if you are a food or beverage company, we really are here to put you in contact with our terrific partners, the Foreign Ag Service, USADA, Ex-Im Bank, and SBA. All together, we can help you grow your international sales to help you expand globally. So thank you.
Terrific, Dan. And might I add that that was 3 minutes right on the nose. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Dan. Lisa, please take it away. Lisa Hokanson, Outreach and Communication Coordinator for USADA. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. So I'm Lisa. I'm in the Outreach Department for USADA, Western United States Agricultural Trade Association. It's just a very long name. So we go by USADA. USADA is a USDA-funded program intended to help small to medium-sized agribusinesses with their exporting efforts. The organization has been in operation for over 40 years and works with the 13 Western states and their departments of agriculture. We are one of 4 state regional trade groups that are funded by the USDA's Foreign Ag Service with the purpose of helping U.S. agricultural businesses grow on an international level. Essentially, the U.S. has us, or the USDA has us be the stewards of funding. We use it to help agribusinesses. They sell their products overseas. It brings money back into the economy, and we have a mutually beneficial program. So to be eligible for our services, you need to be a small to medium-sized agribusiness located in the 13 Western states, and your products need to be at least 50% U.S. grown by weight, excluding water or packaging. We have this 50% requirement because basically if the USDA is going to help promote your products, we want to be sure that we're promoting our own agriculture. So the 2 main programs that we offer our participants are our Global Connect program and the Fund Match program. Global Connect is an activity-based program where participants are given opportunities to meet with buyers at international trade shows and trade missions. So these are opportunities to meet one-on-one with foreign buyers, where we do the legwork in researching and planning the events to make sure that they're quality interactions for our participants. So basically, you go with us to go meet with foreign buyers one-on-one, which personally, if I was a small agribusiness, I feel like that would be really comforting to know that somebody's going to hold my hand through those activities. So Global Connect is the activities, and then our second program is our Fund Match program. And Fund Match is our 50% cost reimbursement program for eligible international marketing expenses. And we say marketing expenses, but there's a very large amount of eligible expenses, a lot of things that people don't think about. Some of our eligible expenses are international and approved domestic trade shows, which would be booths, it would be registration, it would be your shipping samples to the show, marketing materials. There's a lot of opportunity there. Also TV and radio ads targeting a foreign market or shipping samples to potential customers. We have a lot of reimbursable expenses and a lot of money to give to companies to help them with their international marketing. This is a huge opportunity to double your international marketing budget, and there again are many ways to use it. We recommend that interested parties check out our fund match guide on our website to see all of the eligible expenses, and I will include a link to that in the chat. Otherwise, thank you so much for letting us speak and to share our services.
Excellent. Thanks so very much, Lisa. Before we move on to Chris's great presentation, I just want to mention to everybody your questions. We're really looking forward to having your questions and answering your questions during the Q&A session. If you would like to, you could load up your questions in the chat or just hold back until we actually start the Q&A session. You can ask them in person. So we're really looking forward to hearing from you. So, hey, without further ado, Chris, take it away, fast counselor from The Hague.
I'm Chris Reichert. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the invitation, Doug. I appreciate it. And to be able to follow Lisa is absolutely wonderful, as we work incredibly closely with USADA here at our post. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Work through the blazing connection that I'm having on this end. And you can confirm for me that that looks good. I'll go ahead and start.
2 thumbs up. Looks great.
All right, great. So as Doug mentioned, I'm Chris Reichert. I'm with the Foreign Agricultural Service at the U.S. Embassy in the Netherlands. And the first thing you may be asking yourself is, why are we hearing from the Foreign Agricultural Service in the Netherlands when we're talking about visiting the Nordics? And the reason you're hearing from us is that we're actually a regional office. Our office covers the Netherlands. It also covers all of the Nordic markets, so Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. If you're not familiar with the Foreign Agricultural Service, we actually do very similar work to what the Foreign Commercial Service does, but we do it for food and agricultural products exclusively. We have 100 offices around the world. We cover 180 countries. As I mentioned, we're a regional post here. We cover 6. That's comprised of agricultural attachés as well as local staff. I'm blessed to have 4 phenomenal local staff here in the Netherlands: Marcel Pinkaers, Bob Flach, Marit van der Hoek, and Marco Harleman. We can be reached by anyone at our general address, which is agthehague@usda.gov. So if you have questions after this presentation, if something comes to mind that you're looking for clarification on about either the Netherlands or the Nordic markets, and I think the Netherlands will be germane to your visit, I'll touch on why in a moment, feel free to reach out to us. There we go. So how are we supporting agriculture in the Netherlands? We do it through 3 main focus areas. Trade policy, we're working to expand and maintain the access to foreign markets for ag products. So addressing any sort of measures that might come up that challenge or limit U.S. agricultural exports to the region. We do market development and export assistance. So we're partnering with 70 agricultural cooperator groups that represent a cross-section of U.S. food and ag to promote U.S. agricultural products. We also do market intelligence, and we submit a variety of different reports that are available online. I'll share that website with you a little bit later, that you can access, that talk about not only production and consumption trade patterns, but what you see in the retail markets, how food ingredients are being used, and most importantly, and I'll have more information later, the rules for exporting agricultural products into both the EU and the member states of the EU. It can be complicated to move food products. It can be even more complicated if you have a novel food, which I'll talk about, or a product that might be considered biotechnology. In Europe, they're often referred to as GMOs, genetically modified organisms. The one thing I do want you to take away is that we do not support the export of agricultural production equipment. So you might think we do tractors or combines or greenhouses because we're agriculture. Those actually lie in commerce's purview. So we work very closely with our foreign commercial service colleagues here to help sort of make those connections, given that they are tied to the farming sector. But again, as I said earlier, on food and agriculture, we're the primary agency overseas and in the United States working to promote US Ag. So who are these 70 cooperators that we work with? Well, you just met with Lisa. She's with USADA. And if you haven't looked at USADA's information, I'm going to put a plug in for her and suggest that you take the time to look at what they're doing. We also work with many others. So in California, some of them that come to mind, this is not all inclusive. We work with California Wines, we work with California Almonds, we work with the Organic Trade Association, we work with the California Department of Food and Agriculture, Meat Export Federation, and others. All of these cooperators, if you will, are working to promote specific commodities that they focus on. With the state and regional trade groups, of which USADA is one, they're working to advocate for U.S. agriculture in the regions that they have oversight over. You can find the full list of cooperators we support. I've put a link here in my presentation. So you may find that there's several groups that might be of interest to you, whether it's USADA, whether it's the Department of Agriculture. Maybe you're an organic product too. So take a look. Moving forward, just a little one slide on what we're seeing as far as the primary exports for U.S. agriculture to the Netherlands and Nordics, which is about a $3.5 billion market for us last year. The Netherlands is actually the United States' 11th largest overseas market in the world. It dominates this trade, accounting for about $3 billion. The Nordic markets are smaller. That's to be expected. Their populations are much smaller. And we see a lot of diversity in what we're exporting, from soybeans to wine. Finland's actually become one of our leading export markets for mink, various horticultural products, grain and feed. So the takeaway we want you to have here is we really are working on a lot of different things. We have exposure to a lot of different sectors and industries, and I think that we have the experience to help you if you need it. Some of the main things that we work on, and one thing I want you to sort of have in mind coming into this, especially if you're a new exporter, is that we help with detained shipments. I have a little graphic here on this slide that shows that within 500 kilometers of the Netherlands, there's 170 million consumers. And if you expand it to 1,000, you have 250 million consumers. Rotterdam, however, is the largest seaport in Europe and the world's largest seaport outside of East Asia. It's known as the gateway to Europe. And so what we often see is that US exports to Europe, whether they're to France, to Spain, or to the Nordics, are oftentimes landing and arriving and clearing customs here in the Netherlands. The Netherlands has a long history of international trade. It has a very extensive network of importers and distributors. It has a very strong logistics network. And so because of that, it is quite common for importers, even in the Nordics, to be working with customs agents here in the Netherlands. We can, of course, assist you if you're importing directly into the Nordics, and we do see that too. But we want you to know that if you talk to interested buyers and they prefer to move your product into your Rotterdam, we're here to help as well. As mentioned, we do a lot of export promotion activities as well. We are actively supporting a project to produce videos to demonstrate the sustainability of American food production. We've worked recently with the Southern U.S. Trade Association and Food Export Northeast and Midwest with the Organic Trade Association to have a U.S. pavilion at the Free From Functional and Health Ingredients Expo, which promoted organics and gluten-free and other products. We recently worked with the Brewers Association and the Distilled Spirits Council of the United States to promote craft beer and spirits in the Netherlands and Nordics. And we're always exploring more ideas for future activities, including to tap into restaurant weeks in the countries that we cover, partnering with the cooperators, partnering with importers on in-store promotions, ag trade missions, and more. So I would encourage you to reach out to us if you're interested in exploring export opportunities in Northern Europe. Couple of subjects that I just wanted to bring to your attention. New breeding techniques, so gene editing. A lot of people, there's a real difference, I guess what I want to say, between what's going on right now on gene editing in the United States and in Europe. There's pretty strong public opposition to traditional biotechnology, which they refer to as GMOs. They're labeled, it's really tough to sell these products in Europe. And recently in 2018, the European Court of Justice ruled that altering living things using relatively new techniques of genome editing is akin to genetic engineering and biotechnology, and as such, it falls under those rules and regulations. So right now, those products are covered as such. Yes, there are several member states that supported a review of EU biotech laws for gene edited products. Researchers in the region in Northern Europe, many have had very positive things to say about it, about the technology. There's interest in the region in using these technologies for the plant breeding sectors. And the European Commission has launched a formal review of the EU GMO rules. But please keep this in mind, because right now where things stand on gene edited products is a bit different than where they are in the United States. We also wanted to touch on novel foods. These are foods produced using new technologies or production processes, or even foods that have not been consumed to a significant degree by humans in the EU before May 1997. If this is the case, your product may be deemed a novel food, and there's a pretty complex process that you may have to go through to confirm that you have market access. We have a lot of links here. There's a lot of information. We could probably spend a significant amount of time on this. But if you think that you might be a novel food after you take a look at some of these resources, feel free to reach out to us and we'll talk to you more about the process. It is complicated. It is time consuming. There are potential options. If someone in Europe has already produced something akin to what you use and it's been approved, it may open doors for you, but there are certain processes that allow the initial approvals to be limited to the applicant, depending on how it's filed. So take a look at this information if you're a real innovative food product or something very new for human consumption, and then feel free to reach out to us and we could talk more about your specific situation. We also just wanted to highlight the nutrition and health claims that are permissible in the EU. Again, we provided a series of links here that talk about what health claims are authorized, how to use them. This is something that's, having served all over the world, is different from market to market, the claims that you can make on your products. So I just wanted to give you some information so you could take a look at this, feel comfortable when talking to prospective importers about your product and how they might be able to market it and what you think the opportunities are based on what you've seen in the United States. Now, I touched previously on the market intelligence that we're doing, and this is really where I wanted to get a little deeper into that. If you're interested in exporting to Europe, I really can't emphasize enough taking the time to look at these links that I've included on this slide. We do publish what we call a FAIRS report. It's a Food and Agricultural Import Regulations and Standards report that details the requirements for exporting to the EU. Now, most import requirements are harmonized in the EU, but not all are. So we also have individual reports for the member states. And I would really recommend you take the time to look at these. We have both a narrative report that gives general information about the rules and regulations in each of the markets. We also have a certificate report that talks about the types of certificates you're going to need to complete and what attestations are included in them for the EU and for individual markets where they don't harmonize. So really important information you're going to want to take a look at before you talk to any possible importers. In addition, you can access all of our gain reports, the ones that I've talked about previously, including exporter guides. And our exporter guides are strictly focused on the export of food and agricultural products. At our website here, and I provided the link, it's gain.fas.usda.gov. You can search it by market, and you can read reports specifically for the Netherlands, reports for Europe, for Northern Europe, and worldwide. And I really recommend you take the time to do it. We publish these, and we find that they're very well read. If you have questions, you can come back to us and we can get into it more with you. But these are great primers before you come into a market about the rules and regulations for shipping there. We also, as was previously mentioned, have endorsed trade shows where we support USA pavilions. We also, some of our posts participate in trade shows just in our own markets. So feel free to visit our virtual trade events page, see where we're going to be with the cooperators and exporting businesses. You don't have to be a member of one of the cooperators to work with us. We'll work with anyone, and there is no cost for using our services. Our services are free of charge. So if you have questions, we're here and available for you. You pay your taxes, and so you have a right to use our resources. And with that being said, here's our contact information. Again, we're operating out of the U.S. Embassy in the Netherlands in The Hague, and we're here to help you. We want to do everything we can to make you make this trip as successful as possible for you, and hopefully bring forward some successes not only in the Nordics but possibly in the EU writ large. And with that, I'll stop there.
Terrific! Wow, that was really great, Chris. So helpful in understanding the opportunities and sort of getting a sense of navigating the policies and really kind of getting a grip on whether the Nordics is really a viable market for products from companies in this delegation. So thanks so very much, Chris. I wanted to reassure everybody also in the audience that the GlobalSF will be providing you with the presentation and materials from our 4 speakers today. So no need to be frantically scribbling notes. And I just want to emphasize that, the lineup today, with FAST, with USADA, such a central role in promoting U.S. ag abroad. The commercial service, Ex-Im Bank, also with significant programs to help you expand internationally, all 4 really working in collaboration to help you succeed. That's why we brought this panel together. So, okay, so we are halfway through this webinar. We want to go into the Q&A session right now. To kind of kick off the Q&A session, again, please put your questions in the chat or just raise your hand and ask them up front. I'm going to ask a real quick lightning round question for each of our speakers. And that is, I know you probably have said it in your presentations before, but how would a San Francisco, how would a Bay Area company, get started with you? And maybe we'll start with you, Sandra. They email you? Is there a website? What is the first step to get in with Ex-Im Bank?
Well, it's rather simple. Anyone interested can just send me an email or give me a call. I'll include my contact information in the chat. And from there, we will probably have a 15-20 minute conversation where I will just ask some questions. Part of our requirements, we do work with businesses that have a little bit of a track record. We require at least a 3-year history. And just like USADA, the product not only that needs to be produced here in the US, but it has to have a minimum 51% US content. So I will go over that and then just find out, which country you're targeting, what kind of the repayment terms the buyer's seeking, and then I will provide guidance as to which program that Ex-Im offers might be the most suitable for the particular needs of the caller.
Excellent. Thanks, Sandra. I see you put Ex-Im's link in there. If you could just put in your email address. Wonderful. Dan Giovina, how would a Bay Area food tech company get started with the commercial service? What do they do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we definitely engage with those companies through referrals from partner organizations like GlobalSF and other partners. We meet them at various trade conferences and trade shows. You know, we have a lot of VIPs coming here to San Francisco from ministries and all over the place. And that brings in the audience of exporters, right? So we meet them at events, we meet them through partner referrals, or they go online, they say, there's an export office here in San Francisco. How can you help me export food? And that's when we come into play and say, okay, well, the leading agency is FAS and USADA. We connect the dots and try to collaborate. So we do get inquiries that come in, just how do I start? So my role is to kind of guide them in the right direction to all these great resources and all the upcoming webinars, and then going from there, and hopefully they can succeed in their objectives.
Excellent. Thanks, Dan. Lisa, how does the Bay Area food company get started?
They would just need to go to our website, usada.org, and create their free account. They just create, when they fill out the account information, they'll include like their business license information, the products that they're going to promote through our program. Very simple information. And then we do a light vetting process to make sure that they're eligible. And then once that's complete, they'll receive a welcome email, and then they can start using our programs.
Terrific. That sounds easy enough. Thanks, Lisa.
Very easy. Yep.
Chris, you know, I know your contact information is in the presentation, and everybody will be getting your presentation. Any other comments other than that? First step to start with you guys?
No, I think the best way to start with us is just email us at agthehag@usda.gov. I'll put it in the chat again so you have it there. And just let us know about your product. We'll assign you to one of our specialists that works on your commodity, whether it's bulk, whether it's consumer ready, or something more specialty. And we'll come back to you. And if we need to have a conversation, we can do that too. And we'll get the ball rolling. Very simple.
Excellent. Excellent. Sounds good. Okay, great, Chris. Let's see. I'm going to, I don't see any questions in the chat. Again, if you have a question, please take yourself off mute and go ahead and ask your question. I have a few questions myself, so but I don't want to take up all the airtime. So let's see, what the heck? Until I see somebody raise their hand, I'm going to ask a question, if that's okay. And questions for Dan. So Dan, you know, in international business, it's so important to have, you know, a website which is attractive, not just to U.S. potential customers and consumers, but international, to make your website international, to be a magnet for international potential buyers. What kind of service does the commercial service have to help companies, you know, improve their websites, to make them more receptive to international opportunities?
Right, that's been a major focus of the administration. We developed an e-commerce lab many years ago to help companies go online to make sure their website was workable or enhanced to attract international business. So our e-commerce lab, we developed a thing called the Website Globalization Service that basically can do a search engine review of your website. So for example, let me give you a couple little notes here. It would focus on giving you a executive summary of, here are the issues with your website, here's how you can make it better, here's what's working well for you. We give you two reports. One's called the SEO report, which is showing you, backlinks and how you score compared to your competitors. And more importantly, a report called the Moz report. You normally have to pay for that, but we have access to it for free. And that Moz report will compare your company with your competitors, and it would give you a thing called the main authority score. So if your score is lower than your competitors, well, they're doing something right on their website. So through our review program, we'll give you a full recommendation, full review, talk about your issues on links, etc. And then you go back to your web designer and they can make these changes. And overall, the goal is to make your site user-friendly for international buyers, so you can then sell more online, direct. A lot's been going online over the past 2 years, direct to consumers. So really enhancing your website, increasing your sales, getting more hits, and being more visible than your competitors. And we can do that across the country for any company who would like to have a website review. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Dan. Let's see here. Question for everybody. How do you sign up for that website service? Dan. Dan Giovina. Question is, how do you sign up for the website service?
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, just contact me and I can get you started on that. Depending on your location, it could be our San Jose office, it could be anywhere in the US, wherever you're located, and we'll forward you the questionnaire that we take, and we'll get you started on that fairly quickly.
Excellent. Why don't you put your email address in the chat for
Sure.
Laura and everybody. Sure. Terrific. Thanks, Dan. Maybe a quick question for you, Chris, and that is, looking out upon, Europe, what are the major ag shows that, U.S. ag companies should know about that happen on a routine basis, that you would recommend?
So there's a lot of trade shows. Some are very commodity specific. Some are much bigger. The two biggest shows in Europe are Anuga and Sial. When we're not in a COVID world, they take place in alternating years. They've gotten a little bit sort of tweaked in their schedule, but this October will be the Sial in Paris. Sial's in Paris, Anuga is in Cologne. They are the monster shows in Europe, really huge shows. Think 7, 8, 9 halls, food products that cover the full range of things that are offered are promoted in there. And then in our region, we have wine specific events, we have organic specific trade shows, we have consumer ready foods, we have private labels. So there's a variety of different things depending on what your product is. Anuga and Sial are excellent sort of avenues to come into the market, because if you were to attend those shows, you will meet buyers from across Europe and even well beyond. And it's a real, those opportunities that come along where you can show up at one place and meet people from 30, 40, 50, 60 countries. They don't happen that much. There are a handful of shows around the world that are like that, and they're a great way to really come into the market and meet buyers, especially if you have a specialty product, because you're really getting a huge number of buyers at those shows. I'd probably also extend an opportunity for Lisa to weigh in if she has any other shows she wants to name. I'd be remiss if I didn't give her that opportunity.
Perfect, Chris. Yeah, and I was also going to ask you, Lisa, like regarding those shows.
Yeah.
USADA's programs to help a company to get their reimbursement.
Yeah, that was what I mean. Those shows are great, and there are other shows that we have on our website that you can see that we're attending. Those enormous trade shows that are really great opportunities. From the USADA side, those shows are eligible for fund match reimbursement, which means you can get 50% back for all of it, for the booth, for the registration, for your rented equipment, for your marketing materials, to ship your samples to the show. Also include for those international shows, it also includes 50% back for your airfare, lodging, and meals for 2 people. So basically for these enormous shows that are such fantastic opportunities, because like Chris said, you're meeting with buyers all over the world. So to go to one event, that's very expensive as a small company, but if you can get half of all of that back, that's huge. And, the potential with that of meeting those buyers will offset that cost, So definitely Anuga Sial, we oftentimes attend those. We'll have pavilions there. And then there's also Gulf Food in Dubai. There's actually several Sial trade shows all over the world. They just started a Sial America one in Vegas that you can attend, that we are at as well. And the domestic trade shows are also eligible. We have a list of about 40 eligible domestic shows. Those don't include the travel, but still include a lot of opportunity, all of your marketing booth. I mean, those can be a lot of money. So
That's great. And
yeah.
those websites are all on USADA's website, the one.
Yeah, all that information's on our website. Yes.
Oh, terrific. Okay.
Yes,
Terrific.
definitely.
I want to go to Sandra because I have a money question for her, but I would like to answer Laura Jenkins' question, and that is, could you describe the process of accessing funding and reimbursement for events and shipping product samples? For you, Lisa, if you could.
Yeah, just real quick, just go on our website, create your My USADA account, and that's free. And once we go through your account and make sure that you are eligible, you will apply for our Fund Match program. It's a separate application, but once you are one of our participants, you can apply for that. And once you get to that point, we will walk you through the whole process. We'll have a consultation. We'll go through everything to expect, and we'll help you get there to get that reimbursement.
Terrific. Thanks, Lisa. So Sandra, again, looking for questions in the chat, but until then, Sandra, so I'm an alternative protein company based in San Francisco. I've never sold my product abroad before. I want to get reassurance that I'm going to get paid. I'm worried about that. International trade's a little scary to me. How can Ex-Im Bank kind of allay my fears and make sure I get my money?
Hey, thanks for that question, Doug. Well, Ex-Im Bank can give you the peace of mind of knowing that you're going to be paid by ensuring your sales. So let's assume you've identified a potential customer in Denmark, and you've negotiated a transaction, you've determined, the quantity. Let's assume it's a $20,000 sale, and that buyer doesn't want to pay you 100% cash in advance, but you want the sale. So that's when Ex-Im Bank can be a resource by giving you the risk protection you would need. We would cover, if you just want to ensure that one buyer, we have a single buyer option where our cover is 90%. So we would cover 90% of that sale, in this example, $20,000. And you ship. Let's assume you're giving that customer 60 days to pay you, or maybe 30, whatever you decide. Could be 30, 45, 60, or longer. We could go up to 6 months, depending on your willingness and whether or not you want to go that long. If the buyer, so let's assume you're giving them 60 days, they've gotten your product, what happens if they fail to pay? And it could be due to maybe, lack of cash flow, for example. That's the top reason why Ex-Im gets claims. If you don't get paid, you will file a claim to us and we will pay 90% of your loss. And the cost to insure that would be rather minimal. For most of the Nordic countries, we charge less than half of 1%, 49 basis points to be exact, or 49 cents for each $100 of the invoiced amount. So on a $20,000 sale, as long as you're not giving them more than 60 days, it'll be like $98 for you to insure that. And most of our exporters will pass that cost to the buyer in the invoice price in exchange for giving them the flexibility on the payment terms. And by doing that, the goal is to empower exporters, especially small businesses that really can't afford to take a hit, to improve competitiveness, because there's a lot of competition out there. I mentioned earlier, there's over 100, I think it's 113 export credit agencies all over the world. So if you are insisting on 100% cash in advance, you could be losing growth opportunities to other suppliers that perhaps are leveraging their programs of their own export credit agencies to have flexibility to their customers.
Super, thanks. Thanks so much, Sandra. I wanted to also, Sandra was mentioning, exporting your product abroad. It made me think that another question that you might have is, how do I as an exporter get in touch with like local freight forwarders or local exports to help, local experts, I should say, to help me with all that confusing export documentation, which I'm not, familiar with. Again, our commercial service office in San Francisco, that's part of our job, is to liaise with, the business service provider network within San Francisco to find experts who can answer questions very quickly. So we're here to make referrals as well. So again, you want to get in touch about that, Dan Giovina with his email address in the chat would probably be the easiest way to do that. I would say also just, finding a partner abroad is such an important thing. Finding a dependable partner who has the channels, who has the expertise, who's motivated to represent and sell a U.S. product in a different country is so important to success. And maybe, Dan, I was just wondering if you could maybe talk a little bit about due diligence. How can a U.S. exporter do due diligence on a partner that they're thinking of signing up with, but they just want to, kind of make sure that they're the right one and they're above board and everything.
Yeah, before I get into that, we do have a particular program. I think I'll defer to Chris and Lisa, because with your trade shows and you on the ground, I'm sure you qualify these importers quite well. So maybe you can add some comments on that, and I'll share a little bit about our international company profile as a service.
So Lisa and Chris, do you guys want to kick off about how you guys manage that first, and then?
Go ahead, Chris. Oh, sorry.
So I was just going to say, if you're interested in getting a list of foreign buyers for your product or whatnot, reach out to us. We have pretty comprehensive lists of buyers that we can share with you. And we don't advocate for one over anyone else, but we do have a well-developed list for lots of different products of buyers in the region that we'd be happy to share with you.
Yeah, that was my answer. We contact the in-country partners. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Well, let me just add, I know from Sandra, part of the XM program is having the credit worthiness of a potential partner. So companies have to do credit background checks, either through DMB, etc. At the commercial service, we do offer an international company profile service. And that is where we would do a comprehensive analysis of the company, get data on the credit worthiness of the company, reputation. It may even include a site visit to the company or a phone call to talk to the principals. And then we come back and give you a full report saying, this company has been in business for 20 years, or reputable, etc. So in addition to what Chris and FAS offers and Lisa, if they wanted more information, we do have a particular program to dig deeper and get financials in most markets, depending on the availability of credit reports and bank reports, etc.
And if I may add a comment to that, because XM Bank does quite a bit of due diligence, obviously depending on the amount, the level of exposure we will be asked to take to insure. But many exporters can consider resources somewhat like think of our underwriting division, which all they do is assess the creditworthiness of international buyers daily. You can think of us on the front end as your international credit department. And on the back end, if things do go bad and ultimately this non-payment, then we're gonna alleviate you from the burden of collection, which can be difficult in a foreign market. And we have credit standards that vary depending on the amount you would need insured, but typically we will rely on trade references, credit report. We have a list of credit reports that we find acceptable. They vary by country. And in some cases, if the exposure is going to be over $500,000, we would need the buyer's financial statements for the last couple of years. And sometimes I actually get involved and request those on behalf of the exporter in the cases where the buyer may be reluctant to provide the statements to the exporter. So we can work around that.
Great, excellent. Thanks, Sandra. Gosh, folks, I'm seeing about maybe 5 minutes left in the webinar. If anybody has a question, please put it in the chat. You know, maybe just to start wrapping things up a little bit, you know, it seems like, you know, the four presenters, you know, today really, you know, can provide with a lot of help if you're trying to export your food product abroad. You know, payment guarantees to help, you know, selling internationally a little bit less anxiety inducing, market research to help you kind of figure out where are the right markets for my particular product, trade show support, and, you know, even helping you pay for participating in those trade shows. That's incredible. In-country counseling, you know, if you want to pick up the phone and talk to somebody or email somebody about specific questions about your food product, these are the folks to do it. And also just generally speaking, introductions. You know, if you need introductions to outside experts to help you get your product from point A to point B and get paid, we're all here to help you, working hand in glove on that project. So without any further questions, Laura, maybe I will take the liberty of turning it over to you to maybe close us out. And I just wanted to thank our speakers, Chris Reichert, Lisa Hokanson, Dan Giovina, and Sandra Donzella. Thank you so very much for presenting such great information today.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Doug. I'll just wrap it up by saying, again, thank you everyone for attending. And we will summarize the presentations today and provide all of these links and resources on our website and send them out to the attendees and anyone who reaches out to our team interested in this topic and looking at expanding and exporting to Europe. So thanks so much for everyone preparing and taking time today.
Great. Thank you, GlobalSF, for bringing to us such a great delegation.